Yes, this is yet another video about firearms. For reloading of shells, not manufacturing of bullets or ammunition, but for reloading ammunition that's already been purchased as factory. Warning, if you do reloading, follow the instructions from the companies that made it. If they say don't reload this round because it's not safe to do so, obey that. Please remember that smokeless powder and gunpowder and various other propellants must be specified either by volume or weight or specific impulse, BTU, horsepower. You must learn what they are before you do this. Next, some types, as I mentioned, some types of ammunition should never be reloaded. They're designed for single use. Some types of ammunition you can purchase are designed exclusively to be reloaded over and over again. Next, most ammunition for guns of any kind require that you get the tolerances plus or minus 1 part in 1,000. That's a bit of a reach if you don't get properly made equipment. You can make them by using factory ammunition from a specific company to come up with dies and punches and all this kind of stuff. And that can be done. But you're going to have to learn how to make zero expansion based designs. For instance, really good example, you're going to have to find a way to make a casting material that doesn't shrink or expand and somehow get the bullet or shell casing out of it. That might be really difficult. Please also notice that if you measure something, you have to measure it all the way around and figure out, is it the maximum or minimum? Should I round it off? If you don't know these engineering questions, you can't build any of the dies to resize and reshape the shells after they've been fired and shot formed or explosively formed or fire formed. Also, should you anneal the metal to make it more soft or harden it up? If you don't know the answers immediately, don't do these things. But we're going to talk about the least problematic part of it first, and it ain't the bullets. Most ammunition you can reload is based on a primer. Now, there's several different types. I'm going to do this quickly verbally. I'm going to paint a picture in your head. For reloading, there aren't any side standards for specific types of primers. There's specific types of primers that do have a standard. There's only 4 sizes of the type called boxer primers. But berdan primers, you have to buy them based on what company made what bullet in what caliber and what shell in what year. Because they're literally a metal cup with priming material in it. You put it into the cartridge, and the cartridge has built into it, when it was supposed to be single use, a little metal bump in the middle of it called an anvil. And you press this in really carefully until you get it to the right depth, but not so close that it actually sets the damn thing off when you're centering and pressing in one of these primers that's called a berdan primer that could have hundreds of variations to it. Or 4 sizes of boxer primers that are not very tightly regulated in 1 or 2 ways, but they include their own anvil, so you don't have to worry about that being a problem. Because if the centering and depth is wrong on a berdan, it might not go off, or it might go off because it was sitting there. I'm obviously kidding about that, but no, really. And yeah, you can convert them back and forth, sort of. So here we go. 0.175 inches or 4.45 millimeter is a small diameter pistol or small primer rifle primer. These are used in .38 specials and .223 Remington, AR-15 bullets. It's 0.75, a little bit smaller than a .7 something caliber ultra small pellet gun pellet, and also the that little tiny bullet they put into the neck down 22 that's used for varmint hunting. That's really, really accurate. It's essentially a hopped up pellet gun pellet. So the small primers that are for pistols and for rifles, the smallest one, that is a boxer primer, is about the same size in diameter as a pellet gun pellet. It's a little smaller. Next one up is called a shotgun shell or muzzle loader primer, inline muzzle loader. It's used in 12 gauge and also 20 gauge shotgun ammunition and other types. And technically, apparently, there's also a 410 shell that uses it too. And some 410 shells can use the others, but as far as I know, it just uses this one. This one's 5.311 millimeters, or 31 millimeters across, or it's called a 209 in quotes. That's not the inch marking. Yeah, that's a little bit smaller than a 22 caliber bullet, so it's almost able to be dropped into, it'll probably fall all the way through, but you can almost stick it into a 22 caliber and use it as a blank. No, you don't want to take a blank for a 22 and stick it into a shotgun to use it as a primer. That would be a bad idea. Next up, we get 210 size, or 5.33 millimeter. These are the large rifle and large pistol primers, such as 308 and 44 Magnum. Wait a minute, shotgun primers are supposed to be bigger? The primer in a shotgun primer isn't necessarily the battery cup idea. Yeah, there's some, unless you sit there with a measuring tape or a set of calipers, these numbers may not refer to what you think it is. The hole that the primer goes in is a specification. The primers themselves are called 209s or 210s based on relative sizing and yeah. And this is as close. I've already tried to do this with the sizes that are used for firing literally cap locks. The standards are all over the place. I pretty much gave up. Next, we get the 315 or 8 millimeter diameters. Yeah, that's bigger than a 22 caliber bullet in diameter. And these are used in the 50 caliber BMG and variations of it, and also used for God only knows what else. These are essentially, at that point, almost 30, they're like a 30 caliber freaking ass end of a bullet. I mean, you could have what looks like a 9 millimeter hand cannon and be just firing 50 BMG blanks based on these primers. They're loud as hell. They're as loud as most bullets. And that's what's used to initiate the explosion in a 12 gauge shotgun shell sized brass casing that fires a 50 caliber bullet out of something that normally would be what you would fire a 75 caliber thing. That's like quadrupling the pressure level by, look up square root of divide by 0. You get the idea. So why am I doing this video? Because I had to look this up and I couldn't find it anywhere, and I will include links below to this information. Ammo.com's primer type boxer and berdan explained. Primer blanks, pack of 6, 38 caliber, 9 millimeter, yada yada yada. Yeah, they really do use some of these just as blanks. And the SAMI.org specifications, information, public publications, download 209 PDF, and everything else I can get my hands on, including shotgun shell standards. When you look them up, the type is like, let's say 209, but it won't be 209. It'll be like 2.4 or 0.24 or something. You got to look them up. And yeah, that straw you get at the store, the stainless steel straw, might be exactly the same diameter as those primers. Just saying. Yes, you can make a big cap gun. It's about what they're good for. But why is this information useful? You might have noticed that shotgun primers are right in between the diameter for large pistol and rifle primer and small pistol and rifle primer. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. But that's what's going on. So anyway, if you were looking up this information, links will be below, and I'll try to include a really interesting image that'll have all of it in the thumbnail, so you don't even have to watch the video. Oops, too late. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.